From the Gulf to the Atlantic, we're dropping down for one of the Sunshine State's most iconic bottom fish.
That's right, Tommy. The bite is on, and we've got the hot spots and rigs to help you limit out. We're talking red snapper on the Florida Insider Fishing Report, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Florida Insider Fishing Report, presented by Yamaha.
Hello and welcome back to the Florida Insider Fishing Report. This week, Rick is off celebrating his birthday, and lucky for us, we have our Northeast Region Captain Tommy Derringer filling in. It's good to have you back in the studio, bud.
Thanks for having me. I'm always excited to be here.
Always excited to be here.
I'm
Good
sure
to have
Rick
you.
is off on a glorious adventure somewhere for his birthday. I'm sure he's having fun.
Somewhat. He deserves it all, but we're going to hold down the fort. All right, well, we missed our workbench wonder last week, so let's say hi to Dave Farrell at the CCA workbench. Dave!
I'm back. I found the spot.
Thank goodness.
We found it.
We really did miss you.
I'm sure you did.
We really did. So what, talking about red snapper today or what?
No, I'm talking about hurricanes today.
Hurricanes?
Yeah.
Oh
and
my
I'm going to
gosh.
try to make it not sound like an elephant dart to the face.
That's good. That's
gonna
good.
be hard.
We are, oh gosh, hurricanes. Okay, I'm not ready for that. All right, Tommy, since you're, sitting here, let's start with your report from the Northeast region.
I'm ready.
Where it's
I'm
a bit
ready.
of red snapper haven, as I hear.
It is. We have a lot of red snapper. Everybody does right now. We always look forward to the red snapper season, or red snapper day, as it seemed to be last year. In the Northeast region, well, they haven't announced the 2025 season yet. I think I can speak for all the anglers out there when I say we're hoping for a longer season to come about sooner than later. There's just an absolute ton of red snapper on just about any type of structure from about 65 foot and deeper, although a lot of the bigger fish tend to come from those deeper depths. The usual frozen baits like sardines, herring, and cigar minnows, those all work well, but if you can find some live cigar minnows or sardines or even some pinfish, you're probably gonna get that quicker bite. And if you're really looking to get one of those big giant red snappers, of course everybody is, you're gonna wanna put one of those live baits on a flat line and present it as naturally as possible. Those big fish, they're pretty schooled these days. They've been caught a bunch of times and hopefully released healthy a couple of times as well. So having that free line bait looks way more natural and might fool those big snappers. Now, to hold you guys off till red snapper season, there's a great mangrove and vermilion snapper bite happening right now in the 120 to 140 foot depths. Chumming those snappers up and then free lining baits back, that's a really fun way to get those fish fired up. And as we head into the next full moon, you can bet those snappers are gonna be in spawn mode. Not only are you gonna find big schools, but the Northeast region is also known for its big mangrove snapper as well. Some of those mangoes, as we call them, are up towards the 13, even 14 pound mark, which are giants. But back to the red snapper, and I've got a picture here.
Let's see it.
This is Brad and his son Bradford Davis with a couple nice red snappers from last year's one-day season. They caught those fish with me. We had our limit in about, I think 6 minutes we had our limit probably.
Perfect.
There was so many red snappers on the reefs and
Wow.
there's tons of them out there, so that's a lot of fun.
Those are pretty
Now staying offshore, the kingfish bite is in full swing this week throughout the region. The kingfish are both on the beach and offshore. Pogies have been a little easier to find along the beach, but it's a little hit or miss day to day whether they're around or not. And once you load up with bait, you can either slow troll in those 25 to 60 foot depths along the beach, or hit one of the nearshore reefs or wrecks and find them there as well. Some of the tournament guys are finding the bigger fish a little further out near the ledge on some structure. Bonus this week has been some sailfish, and even a few tarpon have been caught on the nearshore stuff while guys are trolling for those kingfish. And I've got another picture here. This is Captain Rob Bennett sent me this picture of his clients with a nice kingfish they caught east of St. Augustine. The one in the yellow hat, that's Erica. You've met her before.
I have. Girls' Day Out. I love to see it.
Rob gets the best clients. I don't know. My
Yeah,
clients
well.
are old and not old guys most of the time. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, man. All right, well.
Moving inshore, the bigger tarpon have shown up in better numbers this week and are feeding in the pogies along the beach if you can find them. Sometimes you gotta make a really long run to find them, but you can. Get out early when things are still somewhat cool, as those tarpon tend to go down, and quit feeding once things heat up during the day. My typical beach tarpon rig's gonna be a 7 to 10/0 circle hook. Tie that on a long 40 to 60 pound leader. Then we're gonna either float or just free line a pogie or a mullet around the bait pods. There's also quite a few smaller tarpon around in some of the inshore canals and the creeks. The residential canals in Palm Coast are holding tarpon right now as well. a finger mullet or a big old live shrimp is going to be the good bet for those canal tarpon. But we've hooked some tarpon in there on the Berkeley stick shad as well, which has been a great lure to use for them. It's also worth a look in some of the bigger creeks throughout the region. You know, most people drive right past those tarpon, so next time you're in one of the bigger creeks where there's a deep bend, you know, take a second, turn the motor off, stop, look around. You might be surprised to see a few tarpon rolling around. And then finally, redfish. You know, the redfish bite continues to be great this week. We have an early morning high tide this weekend, and that means it's time to bust out the topwater plugs. The redfish and the trout and snook as well, all been smashing the Berkeley Jaywalker 100. It's a little bit smaller one, seems to be fitting the size of the baits right now. And that's been great the last couple of weeks. And there's a ton of mullet around, so if you find a good amount of bait on the grass lines, that's a good spot to toss that topwater plug. And I've got one last picture here. This is my brother, Captain Todd Derringer, sent me this picture of his happy client with a real pretty redfish that they caught on one of those topwater Berkeley Jaywalkers.
Oh, only the best way to catch them.
It's
well,
so much fun.
We got that out of the way, your first step tonight. So let's
Yes.
take a look at your strike zone hotspots for the Northeast region. You can read them.
All right. Redfish, trout, and snook have been crushing that topwater like I was just talking about, right at first light along the grass lines, and the oyster bars that are holding schools of mullet. Kingfish are along the beach and on the nearshore reefs throughout the region on the offshore side.
I'm so glad you said kingfish, because speaking of kingfish, anglers get ready for the old school kingfish shootout on June 14th in St. Augustine. This family-friendly tournament has a unique format with limited boundaries, no bait penning or buying, and no checkout. The grand prize is a 21-foot yellowfin bay boat with a 200 HP Yamaha and a Meritrail trailer valued at $125,000. And the early entry fee is only $250 through May 31st. For more details, visit oldschoolkingfish.com. But you know what, Tommy? No boat, no problem if red snapper is on your mind in the Panhandle region. So let's hear from Pat Zneen on how that is done. Hi, Pat.
Hey, Bree, I'm doing well. I'll tell you what, red snappers are really popular in the Panhandle, I guess, as they are throughout the state of Florida. And historically, in the early days, in the commercial days, they were originally known as Pensacola red snappers. So that's kind of cool that they go way back into those days of harvesting them. And unlike Tommy's region, you know, the Gulf is open. We've been open for over a week now, and a lot of red snappers are being caught, mainly in the Gulf. They're being caught, but some are being caught in the bays, particularly Pensacola and Panama City Bay, where they have a little bit deeper water. Most snapper fishing is going to occur in maybe 50 foot of depth as a minimum, you know, out to about 300 feet. Definitely structure oriented. And there's a ton of public wrecks and reefs, you know, within, 10, 12 miles of the beach that you can get access to lat longs off the internet from the public, the county websites. All those places are holding fish. Live cigar mills, herrings are great baits for them. On those public spots, you may want to, lighten up your leader, maybe down to 30-pound test fluorocarbon and a small 3/0 circle hook. You're going to get more bites. And then I know some guys, they'll go with shrimps, live shrimp, and fish them on some heavily pressured spots and still catch nice red snappers. Two ways to do it: the chumming them up, bringing them to you, and then free lining the chunk bait, with no lead and just dropping it back to them. Or the Carolina rig, where you're dropping a slip sinker rig down with 3 to 4, maybe 5 foot of 30 to 50 pound leader and another live bait. And you don't need a boat to catch the red snappers in the Panhandle. A lot of them are caught inside the bay, like I said, but also off the kayaks. Of Brandon Barton, he works out of Navarre, Pensacola area, does kayak guide service, and he's showing off some nice red snappers, a couple of bonus mangoes that he caught this past week, right off of Navarre Beach, just paddling out with his kayak. So that's some pretty good stuff right there.
Cool.
Very cool.
Go, dude.
Yeah, Tommy, staying offshore, like you mentioned, it's not hard to get a 2-person limit of red snapper. So now, after the guys are catching them, a lot of guys are running over to some of the shallower wrecks, 80 to 100, 120 foot depth wrecks, and they're catching amberjacks real regularly. It's a good pull. It's catch and release only. They're not open for harvest. So, take care of them and let them go. And the barges, the tugboats, the metal spans, 100 foot of water, is a great place to get them up on topwater baits or to chum them to the surface with some live filters or some menhadens. But at the shallow depth, you get a school of amberjacks up on top, busting a topwater bait. It's pretty awesome. And there's also fly rod potential where you can swap them off to a popper fly. And there's a photo I sent in of Captain Scott Whitehurst. He's been doing that with looking for amberjacks, but he got a nice surprise That's a nice 70-pound wazoo that they caught this past week.
Kidding me?
That's a pretty cool bonus right there.
Oh my lord.
Yeah, free line and live baits for amberjacks with no lead or no metal, so no wires.
Wow.
So, good catch. Moving inshore, the tarpon fishing has started to get much better in the Panhandle. I mean, it's June already, almost middle June. So the tarpon are throughout the Panhandle from Pensacola all the way to the Big Bend area, but they're going to be more numerous the further east you go, because it's still pretty early in the season as they come migrating from east to west. So there's some good spots over that way to fly fish for them where you can anchor up and wait all throughout the Mexico Beach area. Just pick a pinch point and, let them come swimming by you. Over towards us more, the fish are kind of swimming much deeper. We usually kind of just cruise and look for the schools. We're fishing live baits, cigar minnows, herrings, 50-pound leader, 7/0 circle hook, and minimum terminal tackle, no swivels and whatnot. And there's protocol, man. If you see somebody working some fish, give them some space and do the same for them. Then staying inshore, the triple tail fishing is starting to get good in the Apalachicola Bay area, St. Vincent Island, East or West Pass, Indian Pass, and then really the range markers, the day markers, all the crab floats and whatnot within the bay. It's a run and gun type of fish, where you're just bouncing from float to float, structure to structure, and looking for the triple tails. You might also find some on a tide line, especially on that outgoing tide, a free swimmer or whatnot. A live shrimp or a small pokey under a float is pretty much the basic way to go about it. But also soft plastic with little or no weight. Just want to keep your bait suspended up high where the triple tail can find it. The triple tails are running up to and over 10 pounds, so that's a fun fishery as well.
Awesome, Pat. Man, thanks so much for a great report. Here are the heroes on the water hotspots for the Panhandle region. Inshore, redfish, trout, and black drum in Santa Rosa Sound between Navarre and Gulf Breeze. Work the residential docks with a live shrimp under a cork. Focus on pools and depressions. And then offshore, mixed bag on natural bottom and 100 to 180 feet of water. Fish live cigar minnows for red snapper, a chicken rig with cut bait for vermilions, and float a flat line for pelagics.
Yeah, like a 70-pound walk.
Yeah,
maybe.
like, no problem.
That was crazy.
No wire or anything?
Ah, lucky duckies. All right, get ready for rigs and techniques coming right up at the CCA workbench with Dave Farrell. You're getting us ready for a season, and it's not red snapper season. Is it mariachi season?
No, I wish it was.
Don't you, though?
Mariachi bands, they're my favorite.
I know they are.
I love to be serenaded while I'm eating my Mexican food.
You love them.
I do. I really do.
You probably love them as much as hurricanes.
Yeah,
All right.
We're talking about hurricanes.
And then we're finding out what's swimming around the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region with Captain Ronnie Houston. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Fenwick. Feel everything. ACR. Less search, more rescue. Scientific Anglers. Failure is not an option. Penn. Let the battle begin. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Daiquiri Deck. Food, drinks, friends.
Dave, we're here at the CCA workbench to do rigs and techniques, or this episode is going to be hurricane preparedness, I guess. So let's talk about it.
It's kind of a technique.
Yeah, it's a
staying
technique,
alive.
sure. That's
Try
right.
to stay alive.
You want to be good at that.
Yeah, I've done a lot of hurricane stories, as an editor, and I've talked to a lot of really salty dudes, and talking about how they prepare for their hurricanes. And I'm going to say the first thing, not one of them would ever stay on a boat again during a hurricane. And these are some salty dudes who have went all over the world on their boats and done a lot of weird things. And they'd be the first one to tell you, if a hurricane's coming, get out of Dodge. Get your boat on the land if you can, for one.
No Lieutenant Dans.
Don't be a Lieutenant Dan,
Right.
But that's just at the beginning. First off, you want to make a plan. You want to have a plan now. Now, we just started hurricane season. It goes from June 1st to November 30th. So we got, 6 months of, watching. So you should have your plan now. You should already have your plan done. But you listen to me, we'll get you accelerated
start
a
it
little
now
bit.
if you haven't done it yet.
You need to have a storm checklist. And you need to start this about 72 hours before you think the storm is going to hit you. So you want to make sure you're watching all the weather reports and know the difference between what a warning and a watch is, so that
Makes a big difference.
Exactly. So that you can go ahead and make your decisions and get things done ahead of time. Because once you get that 72 hours, before that 72 hours, inside that window, things start to go crazy around the marina.
Everything gets a lot tougher. at that
Everything
point.
gets
busier
harder.
and tougher.
You can't get your thing in the dry storage because everybody's already put their boat away.
Right.
Or you can't get to the ramp because there's a million people waiting on the ramp. So don't wait until the last minute. Wait 72 hours before landfall. You need to be getting your stuff done.
Right.
And you need to get it all done. Storm checklist: remove all the electronics and the valuables from the boat. Take all your electronics out if you can. Secure, remove all your fishing gear, all your loose gear, all the cushions, all your vinyl.
Anything that can get blown away.
Anything that could get or blown apart. Get all that stuff off the boat and down. Cushions, fishing gear, all of it. Double or triple all your dock lines, and make sure you use chafing gear on them. And if you don't have chafing gear, you can buy some. But if you don't have chafing gear, you can buy a hose and put
it
a
over the rope.
rubber hose over the rope.
What is that? That's chafing gear. You mean so the ropes don't chafe, right?
Yeah, so the ropes don't chafe when they're going up
Because they're
and
going to be
down.
going nuts during a
Correct.
hurricane. Right.
And spider it. Put a line on every corner.
Right.
Make sure you have a spider web of lines going to the boat. Really strong spring lines as well. If you can, put your boat in a marina that has floating docks. The floating docks.
Tall pilings.
Exactly. 12 to 15 foot high ones. You want, because a storm surge, can be up to 20 feet.
Right.
And if you've got that, the dock lifting, and it helps the boat. It keeps the boat stable.
Can make the difference. Yep.
Exactly. Take pictures of all your boat and all of your equipment before
That's a
the
good point,
hurricane.
yeah.
And on the backs of all your stuff, so that you get the serial numbers to everything.
Right.
Because when you call the insurance company, you'll have all these photos saying this is what was on that boat. Yep. And call the insurance company before the storm hits to review your coverage. Make sure that they don't have a policy that says the boat has to be out of the water, or because all marine insurance people have different policies.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they can if you don't move the boat out of the way, it could
be a loss.
Could be a loss. Check your bilge pumps. Make sure all your bilge pumps are working properly, and the batteries. Make sure your batteries are fully charged.
Yeah, because if that bilge pump is going, it's going to wear the battery out pretty
enough
quick.
for 3 days.
Yeah.
You want to have and have a battery backup if you can. Seal all the openings and the hatches on the boat. You get out the duct tape. Don't worry about it, because water getting inside of a boat ruins it.
Not a good thing.
Remove all the fuel if you can. I mean, and obviously, if you have a 2,000, boat with a 2,000 gallon fuel tank, you're not gonna be able to remove it.
Yeah.
But if you have if you can get the fuel out, get the fuel out, because it keeps the possibility of a spill down.
Right.
If you're on a trailer, make sure your trailer is anchored to the ground. You make sure you block off the wheels, and you can empty the tires. Just make sure that thing ain't
I'm
going
going to call you
anywhere.
and go over this again. That's all good information,
Yes.
man. That was really good.
Good
Bree, don't you think?
information. I do, especially if you're new to boating, new to Florida, never been
Right.
through a hurricane. It might
Yes.
sound redundant, but hey.
Save that part of the show and listen.
Yes,
Yeah.
please do, or just email Dave. All right, Captain Ronnie Houston is up in the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region with all the info for your new Red Snapper season changes. So talk to us, Ronnie.
Well, like always, it's a pleasure being here, guys. Things have changed in the Phillips and Jordan Southwest region for Red Snappers. This season it's going to be open for 126 days, believe it or not. So the summer season just opened Memorial Day weekend, which was May 24th through the 26th, and just reopened June 1st, and will go all the way till July 31st. Now, fall season will be open daily, September 1st through the 14th, and then the weekends only, Friday through Sunday for the remaining of the year, and that's to include holidays. So keep on top of what's going on with the rules and regs and the opening time for Red Snapper. You got plenty of it for this year. But typically the Red Snapper is generally, caught starting at about 1:30 and beyond. But the reports I'm getting right now, presently the bite's been good using live baits, dead baits, and a variety of jigs. But the reports I'm getting right now, if you're looking for fish 20 pounds plus, you want to get in that 200 to 250 foot range to catch some 20 to 22 pound plus fish. But like I say, 150 to about 180, guys are getting limits pretty quick once you find them. And I've got a picture right now of a red snapper that was just recently caught with the opening season getting started.
Nice.
So next species is going to be the groupers. Now, once you get your limit of red snappers, you can come back in anywhere from Marco to Fort Myers Beach and start working that 120 to 85 foot depth of water fishing areas, a hard bottom for the red groupers. Now, keeper-sized fish are throughout those depths, but it seems like if you're coming back in, you want to start in that 120 and work your way towards 90, because it seems the further you're out, the bigger the fish are, and you're not going to have to weed through a lot of fish. As you get in a little bit shallower, not saying you can't catch keeper-sized fish, but there's a lot of them that are short. And right now, these guys are catching them on live pinfish, herring, cigar minnows, cut squid, sardines. Still guys out there using the slow pitch jigs, old school bucktails with glowworms and squid. And I've got another picture here of a recent red grouper that was recently caught while fishing out on those depths. Now, on the inshore side, the snooks. It's that time of year where the snook, are starting to make their way out towards the beaches and the passes, actually throughout the whole region. Now, last week I had mentioned reports from Dan Latham at the northern end from Sanibel Boca Ground. That's what those fish are starting to do right now. But down towards the southern end, I'm starting to see fish from Marco to the Everglades starting to do the same thing about the same time, with fish right now ranging from 33 to 40 inches. Some of these areas, these fish are grouped up. The key is going to be good moving current as a plus, as well as using large baits like live pinfish and herring. You can either free line them or knocker rig them. Cut mullet and ladyfish on the bottom for scent. Variety of artificials like the Berkeley Jaywalkers, 120. Mullet and pilchard have been pretty good right now due to the cleanliness of the water. You can use 3/4 ounce gold spoons, but a bait I've liked in the last year for some big fish, that Bass Assassin Artemis shad. My favorite color is pilchard. And with all the rain we're having now, things are starting to change. The water's going to dinge up a little bit and not be a little clear. And those fishing's going to get better for the snook. And I've got a picture of a snook recently caught down the Everglades while fishing with Captain Derek Dappin. Last species is going to be the tarpon. Fort Myers Beach to Marco Island, we're still fishing the outside beach line. Anywhere out to about 16 to 20 feet from the beach line of water. Especially when we have the calm winds. And if the sea breeze is not too strong, you stay on the outside. But then if it gets too strong, you might have to move into to fish the passes or just inside in the middle bays. Now, there's still good pods of fish moving to the north down the beach. And most guys are using the same baits, using live crabs, live pinfish, herring, artificial swim baits are working well. But best bet is once you start locating these fish, and you can locate some of these fish in those areas I've been talking about all by yourself, locate them, let the fish come to you. They're going to be a lot easier to catch instead of trying to chase these fish and spooking them. Like I say, most guys are also telling me the same thing. Let the fish come to you. Your hookup ratio is going to be a lot better. And I've got a nice picture of a recent fish just released, and that's in between the Marco Fort Myers Beach area, where there's not a lot of pressure for these fish right now.
Nice. Great report, Ron. Thanks as always. And here are the hot spots for the Southwest region. Inshore, Ron says trout in Coon Key to Rabbit Key. Fish 2 to 5 feet of water using soft plastic shrimp or paddle tails on a jig head, or use a noise-making cork. And then offshore, permit and cobia on the wrecks and artificial reefs throughout the region using live crabs, live baits, and swim baits.
So Tommy, I don't know if you know, but someone did catch a tagged star redfish.
I heard
They weren't
about that.
registered and they weren't a member. So y'all better snap to it and get registered. You can still register in the CCA Florida Star competition presented by Yamaha and submit your red snapper to win a share of $500,000 in prizes and scholarships. Any 3 offshore species can be entered daily in the Engel Cooler Offshore Division presented by AFCO to win Yamaha motors, downriggers, outriggers, trolling motors, and marine electronics. Take a photo of your catch on your measuring board with the star identifier in the photos and submit via the Star App Tournament app. But you can't win if you are not registered. So go to ccaflstar.com. Please don't let it happen to you, because they are out there.
I know,
People
man.
do catch them.
Great prizes.
All right, coming up, the Startron Central West region is getting prepped for the Red Snapper Show, and then Jeff Hageman is on deck with your Northwest region report. So stay hooked, and we'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Power Pole, Total Boat Control, Berkeley, Your Fish, Our Science, Bahio, Blue Light Blocking, Radically Clear Polarized Fishing Sunglasses, Guy Harvey, every purchase helps support the health of our oceans and marine life. Penn, let the battle begin. Kubota, together we do more. And Heroes on the Water, paddle, fish, heal.
Tommy, for these pretty little babies we're sitting on, a trailer is so important, a good one. And Ameritrail has them. You have one Do you like them?
The best. Absolute best.
The best.
You want a trailer that's going to fit the boat perfectly, and they do that every time. They're perfect.
And a company with good customer service.
Fantastic customer service.
All right,
yes.
well, let's see what Rick has to say
Check
about
it
them.
out.
Over the years, I've seen time and time again a person buys a new boat package and then they skimp on the trailer. And in my opinion, getting the boat to the boat ramp is key to starting a successful day on the water. I've used Ameritrail trailers for decades and I have extreme confidence in the trailer that they manufacture. Here's a recent example of the trailer that they've just built for my 36 Frontrunner. This boat weighs 15,000 pounds, and with the trailer, it weighs 18,000 pounds. I want to share a 40-day example of how we've used the trailer. Our first trip was picking up the boat at the Frontrunner factory in Green Cove Springs. Then we drove it to the water in St. Augustine for a water test. And after a 2.5-hour orientation, it was time to head south 375 miles to its home in Homestead. The next morning, we went to the Florida Keys to film a Mahi show for Sportsman's Adventures 2025 season. 11 days later, we hooked up the Ameritrail and headed to Fort Pierce to meet up with Eric Davis to try to catch some nice kingfish. This trip was 334 miles round trip. 6 days later, the girls and the family wanted a family day trip to the Keys, so we traveled an additional 24 miles. 2 days later, Ridge hooked up the Ameritrail and he went west to Tiki Island, Texas, which is south of Galveston, this was 1,235 miles one way. The round trip was 2,470 miles. 2 days after returning, I hooked it up and drove to Venice, Florida, 466 miles round trip. 2 days after that, we returned to the Frontrunner factory for some testing of the new 350 Yamahas. So in all, in 40 days, we have towed this 18,000 pound boat and trailer package 4,791 miles. And this was easy because of the triple axle trailer. The boat and the trailer, they're balanced so well that doing 75 miles an hour down the road with a 3/4 ton diesel pickup is not a problem. Remember, part of your success is getting to the water. So if you have a technical poling skiff, a bay boat, or even a big center console, Ameritrail builds a trailer that will fit all your needs. I bet my life on it every day.
It's a lot of travel, but Ameritrail's got
It's
you.
impressive, man. That's
Ameritrail's
very
gotcha.
impressive.
All right, well, we've got a lot of happy anglers in the Star Trek Central West region, so let's hear why with Captain Jeff Page. Hello, Jeffrey.
You are correct with that. We do have a lot of happy anglers, and hopefully this rain's going to be clearing out because it's made the anglers a little unhappy.
Not so happy.
But you know what? That red snapper, all the recreational anglers in our region are rejoicing this year because now we're getting a full 2 months of red snapper season. Started on June 1st. There was a little mini season last week, I think right over Memorial Day, kind of like mini lobster season. And then it was closed and then it reopened. And all the reports I've been getting about from the guys that are getting out there, Tommy and Bree, is deeper water, 150 feet on out. I know a guy that was out in 300 feet of water, which is like 80 miles out, and he caught some really nice ones. Live pinfish, big live pilchards, big live threadfins, been really good. And then my friend Captain Derek Engel has been doing really good over ledges and hard bottom areas in deeper water, 200 feet of water with the vertical jig game. So there's a lot of different ways you can get them, and finding them on your bottom machine underneath bait stacks is really key. That's what those guys are always looking for. Once they find them, it's not been hard to get their limit. Standard bottom rigs will work. 3-4 ounces of lead, 7/0 Trocor circle hook. And I've got a photo tonight, speaking of Derek Engel, with a jigged up American Red on one of those deep vertical jigs.
Very nice. Looks like another one of those charters I don't ever get.
Right, well.
Yep. Staying with the red, we're red grouper. lots of red grouper being caught on the party boats, which don't get out much deeper than 70, 80 feet unless it's an overnight trip. So they've been getting their limit, no problem. Smaller areas of hard bottom, straight out Cortez, off Longboat Key, the party boat Double Trouble, and then guys going a little deeper like Captain Kalen Olayer out of Stump Pass Marina, the Flying Hawaiian. He's been getting out a little deeper, getting some bigger fish. Fly pinfish, frozen sardines, standard bottom rig. Again, will get the job done. I've got a nice red grouper photo from Captain Tim No of Gulf Coast Fishing Ventures out of Sarasota. Moving inshore, snook fishing. Tommy's been really good. I don't know about up your way, but down here, all the fish along the beaches and in the passes, and up until all this rain, the water was so clear, you could go down with your trolling motor down along the beach edge or along the pass rocks, and you could see where the fish were staged up, and then just give them a little bit, come back and start fishing them. That's been one pattern that works real well. The anchor lock mode on the trolling motor is a big bonus if you have it. Then inshore, in the bays around the oyster bars and mangroves of Long Bar Point, Palmasola Bay, Terracea Bay, and then down in Lemon Bay on the higher stages of the tide, which are early this week, anywhere from 9 to noon. Topwater plugs like the Big Bone Jaywalker have been getting the job done, provided the floating grass isn't too big. My snook photo tonight is of the boys, one of the gentlemen from Bradenton Fishing Charters with a nice beach snook. And my last species, speckled trout, water temperatures until this rain were up in the high 80s, down to the 82, 84 today I saw. And the fish are still holding on deeper grass flats, sandy bottom, sand and grass mixture, 3 to 7 feet. Water's been really clear, and I don't think it's going to get too murked up from all this rain. A really good method to work to find these deeper water trout is a popping cork that makes a good loud pop. I like the 4 Horsemen cork. I know Dave has used them. They've got a good titanium wire. They hold up, and you can really pop them. Little Gulp Turbo Shrimp and the Pearl White underneath it works real well. And a new area that I don't talk about enough is down South Sarasota Bay, where Midnight Pass got opened up over the storms last year. And the water quality has gotten so much better, and they're catching lots of 15 to 22-inch trout on the west side of the ICW. My last photo tonight is a happy young angler with Captain James Gibson Fishing Charters out of Sarasota.
Awesome.
So cute.
Thanks, Jeff. Always an awesome report, man. Here are the Daiquiri Deck hotspots for the Central West region. Inshore, tarpon on the beaches early in the morning, and then big schools of those tarpon moving southbound as the day progresses. Live crabs and threadfins are the best baits. Free line them if they're laid up, and cork them if the fish are traveling. And offshore, lots of cobia holding on structure and artificial reefs from 1 to 50 miles out of New Pass south to Stump Pass. Live pinfish are the best baits.
All right, Tommy, well, we've talked about this before, but Mosquito Lagoon is not what it once was. While it's still beautiful, wild, and holds fish, it is no longer the redfish capital of the world as claimed in years past. The lagoon needs help, so please join us for the inaugural Lagoon Again, a one-day fishing tournament benefiting Mosquito Lagoon. For $150 a team, all proceeds will be donated to the Marine Discovery Center in Mosquito Lagoon for habitat restoration projects and education programs. Scan that QR code for more info and to get registered. I love fishing for a cause. It's gonna be good. All right, the Northwest region is ready for your weekend fishing excursion full of red snapper, permit, snook, and tarpon. So let's hear from Captain Jeff Hagman on how we're getting them to the boat. Hi, Hag.
How you doing?
Good.
Red snapper can be found throughout my entire region. We have tons of them. There's absolutely no shortage of them here, anywhere from 70 out to 250 feet of water. High relief structures are key. Bait stacks are key. Rock piles, ledges. We have a pipeline that runs out of the bay, out into the Gulf. All those pipe connections are all really good places to catch red snapper. As far as rigs go, standard bottom rig works good. Knocker rig works really well for them. And I talk about this a lot with red snapper. Red snapper, usually your bigger fish are going to be up on top. So when you're finding those fish on your bottom machine, you get out there, adjust your bait according to the depth the top of the fish are. catch those bigger fish and avoid getting those shorts or the smaller fish. But like I said, the bigger fish are going to be up on top. Remember to keep a vent tool handy to release those unwanted fish you have and try and release them back so we can keep our stockpile as good as they are and release them strong in the water. And I've got a photo from Big Nasty Charters of a nice West Coast red snapper.
Another one. Looking
Nice.
good.
Right now, keeping it offshore, the permit bite's been really good. And again, high relief artificial wrecks and reefs, anywhere from 20 to 70 feet of water. Free line or lightly weighted crab has been the beta choice. 6 to 8 feet of Berkley chrome fluorocarbon bleeder in 25 to 40 pound test has been, depending on the water clarity, if it's real clear, cut it down. If you can get away with a 40, keep it. Our fish are averaging anywhere right now from 12 to 30 pounds, so spot lock that Rodan, get up tight of the structure, and drift those crabs back over those high relief structures, and you'll catch a nice permit right now. First thing in the morning, late afternoons, when the boat traffic's the least is when the bite is the best on those. Moving on inshore, the snook fishing in my region is on fire right now. This next moon coming up, all the fish will be heading to the passes to spawn. So look for those spawn balls in the evening hours around the passes. And you want to fish that outgoing tide in the evening. Pigfish, pinfish, sardines are all baits of choice. 3 to 6 feet of 30 to 40 pound fluorocarbon leader, a 4/0 trocar hook, and either free line or weighted, just depending on how much current you got out there in the passes. Staying inshore, Captain Jim Pollard of Big Daddy Sport Fishing reporting a great tarpon bite all this week. Tarpon are going to be around the passes, bridges, beaches, and around the Skyway Bridge. You're going to look for rolling fish and drift either a free line crab or a threadfin herring back to them, either corked or free lined. And I got a photo here from Captain Jim of a nice Tampa Bay tarpon next to the boat from Big Daddy Sport Fishing.
Well, looks fun right there, Jeff. Thanks, man. Here are the Discover Crystal River hotspots for the Northwest region. Inshore, the tarpon along the beaches, passes, and grass flats use pinfish, crabs, and threadfin herring free-lined or corked for bait. And then offshore, red grouper on flat rock and live bottom in 75 to 130 feet of water. Use squid and sardines for bait on a standard bottom rig.
All right, Tommy,
Just one
you're a dad. Guess what? Dave is ready to give y'all some Father's Day ideas for Tucker Marine new products at the
Bring on the
CCA
Father's
Workbench.
Yes.
Looking good over there.
Although these are kind of peachy for the dudes.
Yeah, maybe those are a little mothery, but it's okay.
Well, I do say
Oh,
I'm
no,
peachy.
those look good, man. You need to rock those.
Why not?
Why not? I like them. All right, and then we're getting the Alto Equipment East Region offshore, inshore, and bass report from Captain Mike Holliday. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Alta Equipment Company, where uptime matters. Ameritrail, load, launch, relax. Abyss Battery, power your pursuit. Rodan, set it, forget it, catch more fish. Discover Crystal River, Florida. Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, best lures, period. And Black Oak LED, never be left in the dark.
Dave, we got some cool stuff here at the Taco Marine new products, the CCA Workbench.
Yeah, man.
What do we got?
Well, we're going to start down there. We got the Berkley Prospec Chrome. It's hard to
Prospec,
say that.
yes.
100% fluoro leader. It's a professional grade material. It's really good. Ultra clear and durable. It's invisible in the water. I mean, it's really, really good stuff. It holds a good crimp, too. You can crimp it.
I like this stuff. I use it all the time.
Yeah. It's tough and abrasion resistant. It's got 16 different strengths from 10 pound all the way up to 200 pound. So they've got a leader
For everything.
Yeah, for trout all the way up to blue marlins if
Right.
you wanted to. 25 to 100 yard spools, and you can get that at berkleyfishing.com. You know,
Good stuff.
You have, you pretty much have to use fluorocarbon these days.
It helps.
I do.
I think it helps.
I do too. Next, we have the Flex X phone mount from seasucker.com. This is a part of their Heroes on the Water Give Back color collection. This is the blue one.
Yeah.
It's an innovative X grip holder. You can put your phone in there. Let me try to do it.
Oh, it's got the logo there too.
Yeah. Put
That's
your
cool.
phone. This is what I use actually at home to navigate with, because my GPS thing, my sonar sounder, doesn't have navigation.
Yeah, you can get great maps on your
So
cell
I
phone.
can use my, just use this. But and this thing really sucks down hard. I even have it on non-skid.
Oh wow,
I have it on non-skid,
I didn't know it would do that.
and it works. 4.5-inch mount, vacuum mount. The bendable arm comes in 2 different sizes: a 3.5 and a 4.5. This is the 4.5 to hold the bigger phones.
Mm-hmm.
And 25% of the sales of that X phone mount goes to the Heroes on the Water.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Yeah.
This is a little cap. I guess you want to keep that kind of clean, probably.
Correct. Whenever you take this off your boat or whatever, you make sure you put your cap on there, and it keeps it clean, keeps it nice and clean.
You can wipe it off if it does get dirty, but that does
Correct.
help.
Correct.
That does help.
If you're storing it, that's what I would do with
Yeah.
it. Next, we have the Eagle Claw Trocars non-offset Lancet circle hook. You know, these were designed for the most demanding saltwater anglers. They're really strong. It's a circle hook, so you know, and it's a non-offset, so it works like a real true circle hook.
Right.
The point is actually pointing straight down at the shank. It's not offset, so it won't. It's not going to catch on any soft stuff.
Right.
On the way out. And these hooks have to be swallowed all the way in and brought out real slow, and they catch right in the corner.
Yep, they work
every
great,
time.
and they're dangerously sharp.
Exactly. Triple-sided Trocar point on there, a really tough point, American made, and platinum black finish. So get you a TK4.
They are the stickiest
Trocar.
hooks I've ever used.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're pretty
work really,
dang
really
sharp.
well. Yeah.
Medium wire as well. So eagleclaw.com to get those non-offset circle hooks. Last but not least,
You were styling when you had those on.
You like
You
that?
put them back on, yeah.
I don't know,
I
man.
love it. You look like a movie producer.
Do I?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to go there.
Cool color. though.
It's the Bahio Calda, and this is the brand new color. These are a small fit, medium wrap, Wayfarer type style, bio-based nylon frames. You know, they don't use any petroleum products to make these. All nylon, soft, and they got really good grippy parts.
It's something I really like
Little
about my
rubber on the-
Bahios. I have a pair of like more lifestyle that I wear when I'm driving and hanging out and stuff. And that little grippy part right there is awesome. 'Cause
Yeah.
when you got a big nose and it tends to slide down your nose.
I'm with you.
Those things work really nice.
I'm with
for
you,
that.
and they work good when you're sweating.
Yeah.
You know, if you're out in fishing and sweating real hard, those little rubber pieces make sure that the
They're very grippy,
sunglasses
very grippy.
stay where they're supposed to. There's three different frames and 7 different lens colors, and they are available in prescription as well.
That's awesome.
You know, and they have all the Bahio, 95% blockage of the blue light, 100% of UV, and 92%, I think, of the yellow.
If you're looking for a Father's Day gift,
Everybody
everybody needs a pair of Bahios.
Correct. You
So
get a
that's
pair of
great
sunglasses, you're going to love them. BahioSunglasses.com.
Thanks, Dave.
I agree. There's so many new colors out there on your favorite frames and styles, so make sure you check out Bahio. All right, we are all patiently waiting in the Alto Equipment East region for those red snapper details, but we'll be ready when the moment arises with Captain Mike Holliday's help, starting with going a little bit deeper, right, Mike?
That's the key, getting out deep for those red snapper. You know, the dates for the Atlantic red snapper season have yet to be announced. But we do get some great red snapper action in my region when it does open. The best stuff tends to be on the northern end of the region, from Fort Pierce to Vero Beach, and 160 feet of water just west of that closed section of the Oculina Bank. We also get a lot of red snapper on the 8 Mile Reef and the flat top off Martin and St. Lucie counties. And as long as we're talking snapper, the mangrove snapper action off Bethel Shoals and the 65-foot reef south of Fort Pierce is just getting going for mangroves. That's where you'll find, you'll also find jumbo mangrove snapper in places like Appliance World, Halsey, and the Amazon Rex, and big mutton snapper and yellowtail snapper in the 65 to 90-foot reef line from Fort Pierce to Palm Beach right now. And for snapper, anything from a live goggle-eyed or sardine to a grunt or ballyhoo plug, any of those baits will work. You can also catch a lot of snapper on jigging spoons. I got a couple photos of snapper. James Barossa with a nice genuine red snapper. They caught that on Off the Chain with Captain Scott Fawcett. That fish came out of 180 feet of water off Jensen Beach. And my second photo, Mike Long got this jumbo mangrove snapper in 75 feet of water off the St. Lucie Power Plant. That's a real
That's a real one, man. That's a good one right there.
Yeah, the other thing we got going, we've had a lot of cold water early in the week. but those southeastern winds have brought the Gulf Stream water back into the area. That's ramped up the dolphin bite along the rips and weed lines from 80 feet of water on out to 1,000 feet or more. The key right now is to run until you see something that looks good, then work that area. If you don't get a bite in 15 or 20 minutes, pick up and move again. When you find fish, stay in that depth or stay on that weed line, and you'll keep getting more. You control ballyhoo, feathers, or strip baits just to cover water, or you can just run and gun, stopping to pitch out baits at anything that looks good. There's a lot of small fish in the mix right now, a lot of 6 to 10 pounders, but there are a few gaffers in the mix. And Captain Chris Britton, he sent me a shot of a nice dolphin they caught on a weed line in 70 feet of water, straight out of St. Lucie Inlet.
That's a pretty fish there. Mike, tell me about the tarpon inshore.
Mahi dreams.
Yeah, you know, it's prime time for the tarpon migration along the beaches. Those fish are pushing out of the Keys, working their way up the coast. There's been a good dawn bite and a decent afternoon bite on the beach. But the better bite right now seems to be around the inlets in the evenings as those fish settle in for the night. There's also been plenty of fish around the Crossroads area, Stuart, up in the river, around Harbor Branch in the St. Lucie River, and Big Mud Creek in the Indian River. And then on the beaches, you know, a live threadfin or a live crab or a purple and black fly, those are going to be best thing to throw to those fish, while a live mullet or a threadfin drifted out the inlets on the outgoing tides. We have that every evening right now. That'll get you the explosive bites. For fish in the rivers, you can slow troll a live mullet or cast a Houdini-colored saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad. Throw that at the rolling fish. Average tarpon's going to be 40 to 100 pounds. And Mark Beatty of Stuart, he sent me a nice shot of a tarpon he hooked on the beach this week. He hooked that inside a Bathtub Beach on a live crab. The other bite we got going is the sea trout bite in the Indian River from Nettles Island all the way up to the Wabasso Causeway. That's been strong for the last couple of weeks. It's a short window from dawn to about 8:30 in the morning, but pick the color: new penny, pilchard, copper juice. A 5-inch saltwater shad with a 1/4-ounce jig head is money on those fish right now. The best action is around the docks off Walton Road and Torpy Road, or on the flats off Middle Cove, Bear Point, or the moorings. As the day heats up, a live sand perch fished under a cork around the deeper potholes near the islands. That's getting some larger fish. Most of the sea trout are in the 10 to 15-inch range, but those live baits are getting those fish in the middle of the day, up to about 7 or 8 pounds. And Jason Arman of That's Our Man Land-Based Fishing Charters, he sent me a shot of a sea trout he caught just wading the Indian River on the west bank, throwing a topwater plug. That's a nice one too.
Yeah, very nice. Tell me about some bass, Mike.
Yeah, you know, water levels are still low on the Kissimmee Toho chain, so the fish have pushed out from the shallows out to that deeper water. I was talking to Captain Steve Niemiller of BassOnline.com. He said they sprayed a lot of the hydrilla on the lake, and that's got the bass moving around, but when you do find them, it's usually a really good concentration of fish. You want to look for them in the open water areas that are adjacent to shell bars, or work the edges of the Kissimmee grass. There's been a really good bite on the Kissimmee grass the last 2 days. In the open water areas, shiners, or a 6-inch Bass Assassin Ding Dong, or a 7-inch RSB worm in that green pumpkin color is money on those fish. Around the Kissimmee grass, you can throw smaller topwater plugs or frogs. The key right there has been to let the lure sit just painfully long till all those ripples are gone, and then all of a sudden the fish is going to blow up on it. It's a 20 to 30 fish morning. Average bass 1 to 3 pounds, but he got him to 7 pounds this week. So Kissimmee Toho is on fire right now.
That's awesome, Mike. Watching that makes me want to go bass fish. I haven't been bass fishing in a while.
I know,
I
right?
wanna go. Let's
well,
go.
maybe we should just go with Mike. Mike,
Let's
you want
go,
to take
Mike.
us?
Come on.
Let's go.
Let's go.
How about this weekend? Saturday's
You did?
good.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Oh, we're booking a trip.
Let's do it.
YouTube video. Here we come.
All right, let's go.
All right, Mike, thanks, man. Great report. Here are the TH Marine hotspots for the East region. Inshore, triple tail on the channel markers between the Jensen Causeway and South Bridge. Use a live shrimp on a saltwater assassin quick cork. And then offshore, kingfish in 70 to 100 feet of water off the breakers. Live sardines, thread fins, or goggle eyes on a number 4 wire leader. I always want to say Google eyes.
Google
but
eyes?
it's goggle.
You should probably just say Google eyes.
Yeah.
It sounds good. And it's funny because when I saw Armin catching that trout on the top water at
Yeah.
the beach, I want to go do that now.
That's fun
Oh,
too.
he
Yeah.
just inspired us so much.
did.
All right, y'all, if you're dreaming of blue water and big game, listen up. The 44th annual Key West Marlin Tournament is set for July 23rd through the 26th during the heart of the legendary Key West Hemingway Days in Key West, Florida. Last year's tournament reeled in a whopping $268,000 in cash payouts from the Marlin and Funfish divisions. So bring your crew, bring the family. Key West is calling. Get all the details and lock in your spot now at keywestmarlin.com. All right, the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast and Central East Region captains are coming up next. So, also, do you love fishing in Florida, Tommy?
Yeah.
I know I do. Well, then you need to stay in the loop. Scan the QR code on your screen to check out our website for full reports. Follow us on Facebook, X, and Instagram for daily updates. And subscribe to Captain Rick Murphy on YouTube for new adventures, tips, and tight lines every week. We'll be right back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by StarTron. Start, run, and store with StarTron. Berkeley, your fish, our science. CCA Florida, conserving Florida's fisheries since 1985. Frontrunner Boatworks, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. The Florida Keys and Key West, come as you are. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. And Strike Zone Fishing.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, when it comes to red snapper in the Casa Vieja Lodge Southeast region, details matter. So, Captain Jimbo, please enlighten us.
Well, Bree, hello, Tommy, and whoever else is in there.
Dave?
So, Dave, oh, that's his name.
Ah.
Okay. Well, we do catch quite a few snappers that are red, but we don't catch that many true red snappers down in the Southeast region. And it's actually been illegal to keep any true reds caught in the Atlantic federal waters for the last 15 years or so. So they have made a great comeback, especially when nobody's catching them. That happens. And we're seeing them on a much more regular basis. Now, depending on which area of the region you're fishing, you might or might not be in federal or state waters. So the state waters, they extend 3 miles out from the beach, and federal waters are from 3 miles on out. So if you catch a red snapper from Palm Beach south to Key Biscayne, there's a good chance that you're in state waters and you can keep the fish as long as they meet that 20-inch size limit. But as you get south to Key Biscayne, chances are you're going to be in federal waters. You're going to have to let that fish go. Now, I've had my best success catching red snappers fishing on some of the deeper wrecks, anywhere from about 250 to 350 feet of water. And the winter months is when we've done the best. Our beta choice is a live pinfish, but I've caught them on grunts, blue runners, goggle eyes, so pretty much any other good live bait will work. And they'll also eat cut bait, but the fish on the live baits are generally a lot bigger. And the few that we do catch, and again, we don't target them because we're not allowed to keep them, but so we typically catch them by accident. The few that we do see are usually in the 15 to 20 pound range, so they're nice fish. Unfortunately, we got to let them go. Got a photo here. This is roughly a 20-pound red snapper that we caught on a wreck off Key Biscayne, and we had to let him go, so he's still swimming out there, hopefully. But now, something that we are allowed to keep, we're starting to find dolphin on a fairly regular basis, which is pretty typical for this time of the year. They're being caught anywhere from the edge on out to 1,000 feet of water or deeper. Look for patches of sargassum, floating debris, and birds. And most of the days that in the last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of sargassum out there offshore, but it's been really scattered, not lined up. It's made it really hard to fish through, so it hasn't been very beneficial. But on the days when that weed has been a little more lined up, we've been finding them trolling these weed lines. We've also been spotting the fish under frigate birds and seagulls and the bigger patches of seaweed. We've been getting bites on live pilchards, cigar minnows, cut ballyhoo, or bonita. Otherwise, we've been trolling small feathers and lures, getting bites there. When that grass does get lined up, you can troll your rig baits down the weed lines looking for those fish, also for the birds. A lot of the fish, they've been on the small side, but when you do find a school, the bigger fish are generally going to be the first ones to bite. That's why they're the biggest or the most aggressive. Once the smaller fish start to bite, we'll usually move on looking for bigger ones. And the few larger fish are being caught under frigate birds. Now, I got another photo here. This is Captain Nelson De La Tour, who had a great day last week aboard the billing office. He caught a couple 20-pounders, and that big one he's holding is a 40-pounder that he caught off Key Biscayne. So right place at the right time. Now moving inshore, tarpon are still one of our best inshore bets. And just like in the last week, they've been biting in the evenings along the shadow lines of the ICW bridges. You want to fish with live crabs. That's your bait of choice. Shrimp and swimming lures are going to also work. You want to find those feeding lines where the fish are working, get anchored up current, or you can use your Rodan trolling motor to hold the boat and drift the baits back to the fish. If you are anchored, have an anchor ball or a buoy ready to drop after you hook up so you can fight the fish through and around the bridge. The inlets have also been holding some tarpon, but they haven't been as good as the bridges. And there's also some fish moving on the outside flats from Ragged Key to Angelfish Creek that can be targeted on live crabs or fly tackle, and they've been bite best on the outgoing tide. And then there's also still some great largemouth bass fishing to be had in the Everglades conservation areas. Their water levels were low up to about 2 days ago with these tsunamis that we've had, but I don't think they're up that high yet. So those fish are still concentrated in the canals and the deeper holes. You want to fish late mornings and afternoons, and catches of 50 fish a trip have not been uncommon, using live shiners, crankbaits, and swimming ribbon-tail worms. A lot of these bass have been nice-sized ones, too. A little closer to home, the urban canal system's been producing some peacocks and largemouth as well. There have been quite a few big peacock bass in the local Miami canals this week, so they are biting. I guess all this weather's got them fired up. And they've been biting chartreuse bucktail jigs with red heads. You want to bounce them along the bank, and also white swimming plugs retrieve fast around the concrete structures.
Very cool, Jimbo. A couple years ago, Dave and his buddy took me doing some urban fishing for those peacock bass. It was super fun. I only caught one. I need to get back. That's another thing I need to do. Let's go peacock
I think my
bass
PB
fishing.
was doing that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, when you go, I'd like to go because I've caught a lot of largemouth bass, but I've never caught a peacock bass.
What?
Oh, come on.
No, well, I haven't gone fishing for one. I mean, I'm out in the salt water most days. I would love to go and catch one just to scratch it off the list.
There you go.
I can't believe it.
Got to make a plan. We got to go do that.
Wow.
All right, Jimbo, thanks so much, man. Here are the ACR hotspots for the Southeast region. Inshore, catch tarpon on live shrimp and crabs along the ICW bridge shadow lines. And then offshore, fish the color change along the edge with live herring and pilchards for a mixed bag of dolphin, blackfin tuna, sailfish, and kingfish.
I wonder if Rick knows that about Jimbo.
I know,
It'd be fun to do a bucket list series of all the captains of fish they haven't caught, and just go do it.
On that, yeah, let's do
Go do it. All right, the Central East region is loaded with red snapper, and to catch them is easy peasy. So let's hear from Captain Jim Ross on the subject. I think you have a few thoughts for us on that, Jim.
Oh, I've got a lot of thoughts. I'm just going to go ahead and put this out there.
Bring it, Jim. Come on.
Red snapper are the easiest catching. I don't know of anything easier that you can catch if you go offshore. It's just as simple as that.
I agree.
They're the most abundant fish on our Central East region reefs and wrecks. But NOAA and the National Marine Fisheries Service continue to try to convince everyone that these fish are rarer than a three-legged unicorn. And and that they can't be harvested recreationally except for maybe 1 or 2 days a year, which they try to call a season here on the East Coast. And it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. The Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission has plans to challenge this, though, and they've implemented a limited quota program so that recreational anglers can engage in data collection fishing trips. And they get out there, they catch a couple of these unicorn snappers and for scientific purposes, and then they put these beautiful fish on ice and bring them home, which is really cool. And then some of them, they actually have up to 36 fish that they can keep on some of these trips. So it's really cool that FWC is trying to go ahead and get real science, real data, so that we can have a real season for this fish. Right now, any bait of any type, including a hot dog on a jig, will catch a red snapper, and you can catch them anywhere from 50 feet to 250 feet of water here along the Space Coast. Now, This is one of those unicorns. I've got a picture of it here. That these things consistently are in my flounder hole. And I don't know if I'm just the lucky guy or what, but we consistently catch these unicorns when
Right
we're
there
out
with
there.
you, Jim. They're in my flounder spots on the Rex too right now.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Well, I'll tell you what else we have. We have scamp grouper, and I don't talk about scamp grouper very much in this region, but I'll tell you what, the numbers of scamp grouper that we've been catching here this year are the guys that are going out offshore into the 27 Fathom Ridge and the Okalina Bank, also known as the cones or steeples. The guys are catching some really nice scamps right here over the past few weeks. Live grunts, live croakers, and pogies are all top live baits, but guys that really know scamps are specifically targeting this fish with vertical jigs. And the average scamp right now is running about 12 pounds, but we have a lot of fish that are larger. Captain Garen Malin of the charter boat Sea Venture sent me this 20-pound scamp grouper that he got on what he considers the Snoopy pole and the vertical jig here the other day. Now, swinging inshore, my redfish report, Mosquito Lagoon is heating up again this week with redfish. There's lots of fish working the shorelines now that the water has come up, and those little back bays and areas that they haven't been able to get into for a couple of months because of the low water we've had are really starting to light up. You can easily sight cast to these fish cruising on the banks. They're looking for mud minnows and shrimp, and so a small weedless lure like a Sasson 4-inch shrimp rigged on a 3/0 or 4/0 hook is working really good, and it slides through the grass real easily to allow you to target these fish back in those real skinny waters. Now, if you're fishing in extremely clear water, then a Papa Smurf color or a green shrimp color pattern seems to work good. If you're working in a little bit dirtier areas or a little bit tannin stained areas, the root beer red flake, mud bug, or drunk monkey are 3 really good colors right now. And if all else fails, try a silver mullet colored saltwater assassin 4-inch sea shad, rigged the same way, rigged weedless, and you can catch one of these redfish like this one we have here that was caught just the other day on a silver mullet colored sea shad. My last species, guys, is snook, and snook are rounding it out because once again, this species just continues to amaze me. The docks and mangrove edges in the Central East region right now, the Indian River, the Banana River, the Mosquito Lagoon. It's amazing how many different places you can go and catch snook. You can start your morning with a topwater plug, switch over to a soft plastic jerkbait, then, a live finger mullet as the sky starts to light up a little bit. But just about every snook on the flat or dock you're going to find right now is ready to attack as long as they don't know you're there. So make sure you sneak into the area very stealthily, especially around Palm Bay and Cocoa Beach, where you've got some nice shorelines, some nice mangrove shorelines. Get out there and catch you some snook. And I've got a picture here for my final photo of the night. This is one of the ones that you can expect to catch along the shorelines if you take your time and sneak into their houses and give them something to eat. That's a great way to go out there and get them.
That's fun, man. We've got a good snook bite happening up by me right now, too. But, Jim, I got a question for you. I used to go down to Mosquito Lagoon fairly often to fish, and in recent years I haven't been down there quite as much because, some of the habitat's been in trouble. Tell me, but I've heard through the grapevine that it's starting to show signs of coming back, and the bite's been pretty good. So can you tell me about that?
So we had a breach that came through the barrier island a couple of years ago, put a bunch of fresh salt water back into the lagoon system and displaced that fresh water, stagnant water that was there. That really kicked off a bloom of the seagrass, got the seagrass blooming, and we've had good flushing tides from the Mosquito Lagoon from the north, from the Ponce Inlet, and so we have got a really good fishery going on right now, Tommy. You could come down, Tommy, and have a 20-fish day. I have no doubt in my mind. You get on that little skiff of yours and just pole around. Anybody can do it. It's real easy right now.
That's all, man. That is so great to hear. I really miss it. It's an amazing place. So thanks, Jim.
Come on down and we'll go, man. Let's go do it.
Let's do it. Hey,
Jim,
I'm ready.
Jim, are you still in the Keys, by the way?
No, I'm back up here. I'm
You're
back
home.
in Central Florida.
All right.
All right, Jim. Thanks, man. Here are the Rodan Marine Systems hotspots for the Central East region. Inshore, shoreline redfish near the Clinkers in the Mosquito Lagoon. That's a great spot. I love that spot. Use a mud bug or drunk monkey colored saltwater assassin shrimp cocktail rigged on a weedless worm hook for the fish ranging from 18 to 28 inches. And then offshore, those grouper on the 21 and 27 fathom ridges. You use large live bait fish or vertical jigs for scamp, gag, and red groupers.
You know anything about Oregon weedless?
Yeah,
A thing or two?
I know a thing or two about rigging and weedless. So
Okay.
I talk about it every week, I think.
I'm just glad I can say it.
Yes.
All right, if you're cruising around Florida, do it with a cause and rock the Conserve Florida's Fisheries license plate. Your $25 goes straight to supporting clean water, restoring habitats, protecting marine life, and teaching folks about our coastal environment. Get yours at your local DMV or online at redfishtag.com. Tommy, do you have yours?
I don't, but I need to get one.
Good.
Put me on the spot.
I
need to
bet
get
it
one.
did put you on the
Yes.
spot. You do need to get one.
Yes.
All right, well, we've got one more captain to check in with before we send you off for the weekend. So get ready for your Black Oak LEDs. Keys Region Captain Ridge Murphy. But before we go, we want you to head to our website and check out our live studio audience dates coming up this season. Our next one is the Kids Show on the
fun.
June 18th. So make sure you get signed up. It is going to be a blast per usual. We'll be back.
The Florida Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Casa Vieja Lodge, 5-star angling in beautiful Guatemala. Fenwick, feel everything. Phillips and Jordan, building critical infrastructure that matters. Castaway Coffee, one taste and you'll be hooked. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy, fishing for adventure. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Taco Marine, master the catch.
Today's Power Pole tip of the week, guys, it's about the Power Pole Vision. Now understand the Vision has an entertainment feature that I'm really excited about. And the reason why I like it so much is because I can stay connected. I can actually be out here doing some work, setting up meetings, taking Zoom calls, and I can do a variety of different things through the Vision. The other thing that's so cool is that guess what? If I'm out there on the weekend fishing, I don't have to hurry home to see my NASCAR race or to see my Miami Dolphins or the Bucks game. I can watch the game right here, work my way home during halftime, whatever it may be. Now remember this too, guys. If you happen to have your favorite streaming device, you can stream Sportsman's Adventures or the Florida Insider Fishing Report. Go check out the hotspots from Captain Jeff Page. You can do all these things through the Power Pole Vision. The other thing that I like is that you have the ability to actually order something through Amazon. Maybe you lose your favorite lure. You can want to order a new bag of gulp because you went through them all. Guess what? You can do that through Sportsman's Adventures or Amazon. You simply just go to your favorite site. Remember, Discovery Go, Pursuit, and all those streaming devices you can get here on Vision. If you want to know more about the Vision, you can simply go to powerpole.com, and that's today's Power Pole tip of the week.
Visionary.
Very cool. I wonder, does Rick watch himself fishing when he's fishing?
Maybe.
He might.
He might be. But you know
Might
who
be.
I am watching?
Who's that?
In the Black Oak LED Keys region. It's important to keep things straight when it comes to reeling in a snapper. So let's have a chat with Captain Ridge Murphy. That's who I'm watching. What's up, Ridge?
You know, when it comes to red snapper fishing here in the Black Oak LED region, we have a unique situation being that we have both the Atlantic and Gulf side on either side of the highway. That being said, there's two sets of regulations to follow, and it's very important not to get them confused. At this time, according to NOAA Fisheries website, 2025, South Atlantic red snapper season starts recreational fishermen July 12th, and the amount of days is to be determined, normally 3 to 6 days. The Gulf season opens June 1st through July 31st, and that being said, if you're fishing on the Gulf side, you cannot cross over to the Atlantic side of the highway with possession of red snappers. If you're going to the Keys to target the red snappers, head south to Marathon and Key West, and hiring a guide would be recommended. It's a short season with lots of regulations that can be a bit confusing. Fish heavy spinners and use ballyhoo plugs on the knocker rig with 3 to 8 ounces of lead, and you can use vertical jigs or bucktail jigs tipped with gulps on the ledges and deeper wrecks ranging from 150 to 300 feet of water. I spoke to Captain Sammy Milazzo out of Worldwide Sportsman, and he says that the mahis are thick. Sammy's been doing mahi trips and dropping for swords so that he's been catching his mahis out a little bit deeper, but Sammy says that they're all over the place from 400 to 1,700 feet of water. Look for weed lines, debris, and birds, and troll an R&R mahi magnet on your 30-pound conventional Penn Carnage rod. And you're also, Carnage Rod, also you want to have a live well full of cigar minnows and pilchards ready for when you get into the schoolies, and try and catch some bigger fish out of the live bait. Throw 6,500 to 8,000 size Penn slammers with a 7-foot Carnage spinning rod with 20-pound line and 40 to 50-pound leader. Try to have one rod with a bigger Eagle Claw hook on standby for that bigger fish, and keeping a rod on standby will eliminate having a chafe leader and a twist in that mono from catching other fish. I have a photo sent in by Captain Sammy Milazzo out of Worldwide Sportsman with some nice, happy customers and some nice mahis.
Nice. Let's go inshore, bub.
It's hard to beat the snook bite right now in the backcountry. Fish the moats and potholes surrounding the islands for the snooks on the mid-tides. Throw gulp shrimps on jig heads or Bass Assassin soft plastics in neutral colors. You may want to rig your baits weedless if the grass is bad, but that's been kind of changing on the daily. Use a Fenwick rod, world-class rod, in medium fast with a Penn Authority or Slammer 4000 with Berkley 15-pound Prospect Chrome braided line and 30 to 40-pound fluorocarbon leader. I have a photo of Dr. Gabe with a nice snook that we got on our last trip together, and that fish ate a Bass Assassin PNV in pilchard color on a 1/4-ounce jig head.
There you go, Dr. Gabe. It looks good.
Oh.
Yeah. You know, you want to heat up the oil. You want to heat up the oil because the snapper fishing's hot. Captain Sammy also says that he's seeing a lot of backcountry boats, and the boats come in with lots of mangrove snappers, and they're full of rows, so get ready to be hearing about them a bunch. This time of year, the snappers will stage in the deeper cuts, trenches, potholes, and moats around the islands of the backcountry, and you want to anchor up or power pole down of the upcurrent sides of these structures and soak a chum bag down the down current of the boat. Use a Fenwick light tackle rod similar to what we would use to be red fishing or bone fishing. The kicker here is we're going to use 10 to 12-pound mono. You can get away with using a 20-pound leader, but if you really want to be stealthy, you want to re-spool with the mono. Use a small 2.0 or 3.0 Eagle Claw Circle C hook with a 1/4-ounce egg weight halfway up the leader. And fresh cut bait works best, like chunks of ballyhoo or pinfish. And make sure to leave the bail open. The bigger snappers will take the bait and run away with it and get away from the school and then start to eat it. So make sure you're doing a long feed to those fish. Remember, 5 per person at 10 inches is your snapper aggregate limit.
Thanks, Rich. Killer report, man. Here are the scientific anglers' hotspots for the Keys region. Inshore, redfish on the Ray muds. Look for the fish tailing, waking, and rumbling across the flats. Throw Bass Assassin soft plastics rigged weedless on an Eagle Claw circle hook. And then offshore, mahi from 450 feet to 1,700 feet. Troll R&R mahi magnets on the weed lines and throw live baits on the birds and on the debris for schoolie dolphin.
Schoolie dolphin.
Schoolies.
All right, well, let's dive on in and see what tournaments are going on in the Florida Keys. First off, we have the 39th annual Father's Day Dolphin Derby taking place June 13th for registration and fishing on June 14th in Marathon, with cash prizes awarded to the top 4 adults based on largest dolphin by weight and rod and reel combos to the top 3 junior anglers. Next, we have the University of Miami Sports Hall of Fame Celebrity Fishing Tournament set for June 19th through the 22nd in Isla Mirada with notable sports personalities in attendance. I wonder who that could be.
You?
Nope. Cash prizes are on tap for the top 3 teams, catching the highest combined weight of 3 mahi-mahi. Then, new rules this year allow anglers to fish 2 days without separate registration for each day in the annual VFW fishing tournament in Key West, with $15,000 going to the team with the heaviest mahi-mahi. And last is a winner-take-all grand prize of up to $25,000 to be awarded to the team that posts the highest aggregate weight of 3 mahi after the June 25th through 26th Isla Mirada Fishing Club Captain's Cup Dolphin Tournament. For more information on Keys, go to flakeys.com. But Tommy, the reports are in and we are all ready to get out there and catch them up. But stay with us for a little bit longer for Seize the Social and to find out what species we're targeting next week. We'll be right back. Dave Scoon, All right, next week we are talking triple tail. Heck yeah, we heard some
Love those
reports
things.
tonight on some of those. So make sure you tune in, and Rick will be back with us next
We tried to catch some
week.
triple tail once. Me and Tommy did.
You tried?
We were not successful.
Not successful. No trash bag scouts. All right. Well, Tommy, you're not going to be with us next week. You'll be in your Derringer studios
I
up
will.
north.
Yes.
I'd love to see it. All right, but
Thanks for having
before, this is something new. Before you guys hit the water, let's dive into Seize the Social.
Season
your
it.
best Florida fishing moments from the Gulf to the
Is it
Glades.
Season the Social?
Yes. Let's see it.
Yes, season.
Okay, so we are in a tank. Right? We're in a tank. We're
Oh,
deciding which
showing him
lure
his
to show.
lure. Yeah.
Let's see. Does he like this one? It's a Berkeley. He better. Oh,
He's
which
got
one do
it
you think
right.
it is? That's
is
good.
it?
I would show them the Florida Insider Fishing Report on my phone and see if we're doing a good job.
There you go. There you go. On your
that's what I would
vision.
do.
All right.
Yes.
Remember, if you saw a fishing reel you'd like to share and be featured on Season the Social, just scan the QR code or drop them in our DMs. But gentlemen, that is our show. Thank you so much for coming back to us. We really missed you. Thank you for
wouldn't do
being
it.
here.
Thank
You
you so
did
much
a
for having
great
me.
job. You
Fun
make
as always.
my job easy. I'm always so scared when Rick leaves me. You know, like he's my left-hand man, I guess.
would
But
be
you know
it.
what? Happy birthday to Rick.
Happy
Happy
birthday,
birthday,
Rick.
Rick.
We hope
Happy
you're having
birthday.
fun wherever you are celebrating. Per usual, it'll be like the whole month of June knowing him.
Birthday
But
month.
Get out there, be safe, and we'll see you next week. Triple tail. Triple.